11:50. So it'll be you and me, along with a number of guests. Until then, as I mentioned, we are in spring training here at Roger Dean Stadium. Cardinals are currently working on some defensive fielding drills and also some base running drills as we speak. We have a nice crowd. This will be their first home game. Yesterday, we were the visitors here, and the Miami Marlins were the home team. And I have to tell you, there were more Cardinal fans here than there were Marlin fans, but that's to be expected. The Cardinal fans are pretty smart about getting tickets, and they go on the Marlins site and buy their tickets, and therefore they get good seats. So today we should have a Cardinal crowd, as it is the home game. We'll see how things unfold as people are starting to fall into this area and get ready for the next 6 weeks of baseball as the Cardinals get ready for their 2025 season. A lot to talk about today, as we had a lot of people playing last night. The Cardinals, the Blues, St. Louis U, City, Mizzou, Illinois, also Webster University. I mean, everybody was playing last night. And some of them, well, didn't work out that well, but we'll talk about that a little later. Our guest today, we're going to visit with Big Dog Bernie Miklasz. You hear him in the Gas House Gang here on KMOX. We'll have a chance to get his thoughts on a lot of things that are happening in sports and get his thoughts on what he is looking forward to seeing next. Josh Schertz, they won yesterday. St. Louis U won over Rhode Island. Tough matchup for St. Louis U. And St. Louis U has to really kind of win out in order to have a good seed for the conference tournament. And as you know, anytime you get into the tournament, anything can happen. We'll talk some hockey a little later. Blues started their season last night after the Four Nations tournament. We'll get into the Four Nations tournament, get your thoughts on what you think was good about it and what needs to be better. And I bring that up because everyone who's a hockey fan, their buttons are popping off their shirt because they're so happy with how things turned out. The TV numbers were exceptional. It was good-spirited play. Everything went well. And the first thing you hear people say is, all right, now here's what we have to do to fix it. Well, I don't think it's broken, to be honest with you. I thought they did it really well. And I thought one of the things that really stood out, I didn't hear one person griping about the officiating. And as you know, if you're a hockey fan, it's your birthright to be able to grouse about the officiating. But we didn't hear that. At least we didn't hear it on a large scale during the Four Nations event. So we'll talk about that, what's next for the Blues, as they have their work cut out for them if they want to get into postseason play. And we'll have that working for us. 11 o'clock hour, Lutz Pfannenstiel, they got off to an interesting start last night. St. Louis City, a home game, 32 degrees was game time kickoff. I don't know about you, and as I've gotten older, I'm kind of allergic to cold weather. And so I'm interested to see how soccer players, stay ready, especially the guys who are subbing. How do they stay loose? How do they stay ready when the weather can be a little bit of a distraction? So we'll have a chance to visit with Lutz about that. John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations, will join us in his usual time, and we'll get his early thoughts on his ball club. And we'll finish out visiting with the Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith, who was here in spring training. And, when you see the Wizard walking around, it's like royalty. He is so good, not just to the fans, but also to the younger players that he makes time for. One of the more amusing sights I saw, Thomas Ajacey, young man that people seem to feel like has a chance to be a big leaguer. And Ozzie was looking at his glove, and he said, well, how did you get your glove shaped like that? And so he said, well, I've always had it like that. So Ozzie said, well, have you ever looked at how, the glove is an extension to your hand? And Ozzie was kind of showing him how to break it in differently. And you would have thought Ajacey was sitting on Santa Claus's lap because it was something he never heard about, never learned. And I guess when a Gold Glover is making a suggestion there, Ozzie didn't tell him this is what you have to do. But just the fact that you have a person of that nature taking the time just to help a young man be better on the next ground ball. And who knows where that takes him. So it's great to have him here. David Freese is here. And I really hope that the Cardinals get back to having more former players around because they want to help. They want to see the team do well. I mean, that's their team. But when it starts with Ozzie, and there's so many other ones that they could have involved, and hopefully that will be the case here in the next few spring trainings for sure. So we have that working for us with Ozzie. The Cardinals have game 2 against the Houston Astros yesterday. Pretty good game for about 5 innings. let's put it this way. All the players that you expected or you were looking forward to seeing contribute to this team in 2025, they, for the most part, did their job. Now, the people who might be part of the 2027 team, well, they had a little bit of a rough afternoon. And as we've learned in spring training, these games can be really fun for about the first 6 or 7 innings. But when you get the guys with 94 and 98 on their back and their ability to throw strikes is not as consistent, it can make for a long hour. I'm telling you, it can make for a very long hour. But we had that yesterday. Nothing to worry about. No one was hurt after the game. I'll give you the lineup here if you're interested. You can get started on your lineup as far as the Cardinals and the Astros. So Victor Scott gets a leadoff spot. He'll be in center field. Alec Burleson will be at first base with Nolan Gorman playing second base. Luken Baker is the designated hitter. Pedro Pajes is the catcher. Thomas Sajaci, who we just talked about, will be playing third base. J.J. Weatherholt, the Cardinals' first-round pick from last year, he will be playing shortstop. And also Matt Koperniak, who had a good throw from the outfield yesterday. This is a guy you might want to start paying a little bit more attention to. Matt Koperniak, he'll be in left field. And we have a young man named Ryan Vlade. He will be in right field. Miles Miklasz will be on the mound for the Redbirds. So that's how things will start. And I can assure you, this is not the same lineup you'll see in the 8th inning. That's just how it works. So what we'll do now is take our first break. We'll come back. We'll talk to the big dog himself. It's always a treat to visit with Bernie Miklasz. I just don't talk to him enough, and I'm going to hog up all the time when we take this break on KMOX.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Question. Are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid, fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at jerrykelly.com.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189-million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Happy birthday to us. 2 surprises for you. 2 surprises from NordVPN. 2 surprises for you.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN.
we have a special birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. NordVPN is rated as excellent on PC Mag. Visit NordVPN.com and discover one of the most advanced VPNs in the world. What are the benefits? Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Receive alerts if your email address leaks to the dark web. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro tool. Encrypt your online traffic and browse with more peace of mind. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Well, we've changed up a few things. I'm not Tom Ackerman. I'm Mike Claiborne, and we've moved the studio to Jupiter, Florida, where we're at Roger Dean Stadium. And we're going to go to the guest line, and standing by is one of my favorite people. I don't see him enough, but I always think about him, and it's always great to have Bernie Miklasz on KMOX. Bernie, good morning, sir.
Claibs, what a pleasure it is to be able to talk to you, even if it's on the air, and you'll be seeing me around Busch Stadium more in 2025. I got to quit being a hermit, and one of the reasons is to come be able to make sure I say hello to you and Mr. Rooney and Mr. Horton.
Well, you know, you and I kind of like the last of the Mohegans around here, so we do need to spend some quality time together.
That's right. You know,
we have to do that.
I miss out on spring training. You know, I haven't gone to spring training for a while. That's okay because I got so many other things I have to do. I couldn't really afford to be down there for long. But one of my, just so everybody knows, one of my joys in life, and this applies every St. Louis media person who's had the good fortune to be invited to dinner by Mike Claiborne in spring training. You know, this must be the way it was like with Sinatra and those guys. With like some of the best restaurants in town, you know, it's like, Mr. Claiborne, yeah, right here. A party of four? No, I got 6. Oh, okay, 6. That's fine.
Don't worry
Whatever
about it.
you
Yeah,
need,
we'll
Mr.
make him
Claiborne.
get up. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's funny. I was taking somebody to dinner recently. This is year 40 of spring training. Now, I've been in the business a little longer, but this is 40. And you start thinking about all the people, and you and I used to have some classic dinners, and it wasn't always about the games. It was about life and people and family and friends and everything else that goes on in the world. And I think that's one of the neat things about spring training that doesn't get enough credit for why we enjoy being here, other than the weather and watching guys develop to get ready for the season.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm gonna throw you a compliment here. So people might be getting sick of me praising you, whatever. But you know, the one thing about you've always been this way with me, and you've been a tremendous help, is when me being the hotshot columnist or the guy, you know, talking on the radio or whatever, you know, you have on many occasions said, you know, you need to rethink this, you know, and you didn't do anything wrong, but you should rethink this. There's some stuff here and there and here and there. You always get me to check my conscience, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you saying it. Now, if I can get somebody to check mine, we'd be on the right path here. I'm the one that's off the rails here these days. Hey, you know, this is an interesting time for us in sports, people who cover it, people who support these teams. You know, when you look at yesterday and everyone that was playing, and, you know, they all kind of mirror each other with regard to redevelopment, reloading, and trying to move to that next step where they can get back on a basis where what we've been expecting and what we've always accepted as far as competition and winning. And I find it fascinating because in all the years, Bernie, I don't think we've ever seen this many teams, whether it's college or pro, going through the same process at the same time.
Yeah, and it's I think the shock in St. Louis is that number one, it's so personal because there's such a strong allegiance to the Cardinals. Even if people are upset about something and they're not going to buy as many tickets, there's still a tremendous amount of interest in the team, and people's passions are on the line. So I think in a market like St. Louis in particular, you know, this is like a strange experience because by and large, Cardinals fans have not had to go through this very often, at least not since Bill DeWitt bought the team and before the '96 season. As for other places, and with baseball, a lot of it, the system is that it enables owners of quite a few teams, unfortunately, to kind of basically sit it out competitively while they're also taking money from their partners, revenue sharing. And so that bothers me more than anything that the Dodgers are spending. The fact that you have owners that could actually be really who like take, for example, the Pittsburgh Pirates have an excellent starting rotation, excellent. Yep. Mm-hmm. And yet they've done nothing to make that team better in the offseason. So if you're not going to get beyond your comfort level to spend and because to take advantage of this window you have with those great young starters and Skeens and all the rest. See, that's what's wrong with baseball. It isn't the Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? That's what's and you can apply this to the other sports, but the other sports, at least, in football.
Well, the salary cap makes you accountable.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you don't hire the right people, well, that's your fault. And if you can't find a quarterback, that's your fault. So, yeah, I think the other sports kind of police themselves, or the system polices everybody.
No, I think you make a great point, and it's somewhat of a head scratcher for baseball. And I look at this team as they take batting practice, and I know some people would feel like, well, they're not committed. They've scaled back. I think what they've done, from what I see a lot more people working with people. There's a lot more investment in development than would show. If you hit spring training, you can kind of see it. Like, this is a little different than what we've been accustomed to. And there are multiple ways you can reinvest in your team without going out and overpaying for a free agent. And I'm of the belief that if that situation comes about, if they're competing down the stretch, don't think that they won't go out and get someone if they think if that's going to get them over the hump, because you can't miss out on that opportunity. No matter what your plan is, you have to try. And I think we're going to still see that. And I think the effort that we're going to see from this team, because they're young guys who are getting an opportunity for the first time, they're going to give you everything they have. And so I'm not worried about that. I'm appreciative of the fact that I'm seeing the reinvestment of their money compared to some other cities who just put the money in their pocket.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. And of course, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, because you know what's up. Listen, I'm not popular with a certain segment of Cardinals fans, and I don't know what kind of percentage we're talking about. But listen, I spent all of last season basically saying, listen, let me tell you that this is going on, that's going on. They don't have a full-time catching instructor. They don't have the technology. They don't have the facilities. It's kind of underfunded and understaffed. And I would bang the drum on that, because I would point out over and over again, one of the things that I've respected so much about Bill DeWitt is because he was ahead of the game with all of that stuff. And that's one of the reasons why they were such a huge winner for a long time. And I'm surprised that it lapsed. But I kept pounding the table, so to speak, saying, listen, they have got to fix the minor league system, the analytics department, player development, have everything these kids need to be major league ready to the max, as much as you can get them ready. And so when they finally did it, I was thrilled. I was happy. I think it's a huge, huge thing. And I don't think enough people understand what a big deal this is, because they can't see it. See, you can see it. You can see the work being done. You can see all these new coaches and instructors, and you're like, well, gosh, they really did bring in a lot of people. But that's tough for fans. So I'm not blaming fans, because they don't see what's happening other than what's on the major league field, No,
you're absolutely right. And I think they'll see it with the results down the road. But this team will be better than maybe what some people think. I'll remind people, they did finish in second place last year. Now, obviously, second place is not where they wanted to finish as far as the standings were concerned. But it wasn't like it was a terrible season. We saw the development of certain players. We saw Mason Wynn. We saw Ryan Helsley really come to the forefront, and some other people. And I really think they're going to be better. They have enough pitching right now. And now I say that on February 23rd. Sure. As we know, July 23rd, I may be saying to you, Bernie, we need some pitching, because that's just how the business works. But I think overall, I like the direction. It's early, and some guys will have to play through this and make sure they justify their existence. But overall, I would just say to people, give it a shot and see what happens.
Well, there's a lot. Your point about the energy and the hungriness in camp is spot on. And that applies to the older guys too. Contreras is learning a new position. He knows that people are skeptical of that. He's doing everything he can to be a decent, solid, good first baseman. He's got something to prove. Sonny Gray, he was good last year, but he knows he wasn't at his best. He knows that there's another level. He knows he can't allow home runs the way he did last year. He knows he's got to pitch better on the road. He's hungry. He's determined to prove you didn't see my best. I can't think of a guy anywhere in Jupiter, Florida right now that probably is more determined to prove that he still is the type of offensive player that can do a lot of damage. And then last year was an aberration. I'm talking about Nolan Arenado. And then you have all these kids that are competing for playing time, and they also know they got a lot to prove. And I think that everybody down there collectively is really fired up about the challenge. Does this mean they're going to win 90 games? No, I don't know what they're going to win, because it's like everything else. You mentioned the pitching, and let me throw this in real quick. If the bullpen is not good, well, everything's going to fall apart, because the bullpen saved that team. That's why they won as many games as the Chicago Cubs last year. And it's why they won as many games as the 2006 Cardinals did in the regular season. But if the levee breaks, then it's going to be a tough season. So that's one area of concern. But because we all know that certain hitters got to step it up, and we can say that a million times. But I also think maybe the bullpen holds the key to everything, as long as some more offense is produced.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. It'll be an interesting year, and reason it'll be an interesting year because I am going to connect with you, and we will hang out. And I have a couple of new spots that we can go and chop it up.
I look forward to it very much. Wonderful being with you, even for a few minutes today. Thank you, Mike.
All right, he's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Mike Claiborne. You can hear Bernie with the Gas House Gang every day on KMOX. We're going to take a break. St. Louis U was in action last night, and there's good news to report about the Billikens.
This is Tom Ackerman celebrating their 57th year in business. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been one of St. Louis's top names in home improvement, with a commitment to put quality and professionalism first in everything that they do. The best and longest lasting outdoor products available. You know, you're thinking about it in these cold winter months. What is spring and summer going to look like in my backyard with a new deck, a new sunroom, a new screen room, a new patio? Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the company that you can trust with your home. You'll get expert advice from a knowledgeable project consultant and a team of people ready to select the right products for your home. Locally owned and operated for 57 years now, it is Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Go online, visit them at chesterfieldfence.com. Even better, go check out their showroom if you can. Mention Tom Ackerman, receive 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This month we are focusing on National Cancer Prevention Month. And joining us is Dr. Graham Kolditz, Associate Director at Siteman Cancer Center.
Working to increase access to screening and early detection across the region and across the spectrum from prevention to detection and treatment.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
Royal Banks of Missouri is your community bank with locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Northeast Missouri, Granite City, and Jerseyville, Illinois. A bank branch is not far away. Royal Banks brings in experienced staff and products and services designed to meet your professional and personal financial needs. Investing in our communities, one client at a time. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, an equal opportunity lender. Looking for a new home or to refinance your current mortgage? Royal Banks of Missouri wants to be your home buying partner. With a local staff that will guide you through the process, Royal Banks is an experienced mortgage lender that you can trust. There's still time to lock in on a low rate. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC, an equal opportunity lender.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Isaiah, high post pass, top of the key Avila. Turns, gives it to Jimerson. Hard sprint, turnaround three. Bang, got it. Jimerson.
He just got right underneath the basket and just made a full sprint to the head of the key. And you got to know.
Bob Ramsey and the Hall of Famer Earl Austin Jr. last night or yesterday afternoon as the Billikens took on Rhode Island. Let's go to the guest line, and our coach of St. Louis University is Josh Schertz, and he's brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri. Coach, good afternoon, good morning, or wherever you may be, but more importantly, congratulations on a big win for you last night.
Thanks, Clay. Appreciate it. It was a good win for us. Needed, had a rough stretch there. I dropped a couple in a row and had the chance to win them. Didn't quite get it done, and so to have that break, had 8 days where we didn't play a game, kind of reset, refocus, and thought had one of our better games of the season yesterday. Great crowd as well, which really helped. Had 8,000 in there, which was fantastic.
I want to ask you about pushing the reset button during the season. You guys are kind of chewed up with injuries already. Do you think that's something you'd probably like to build into your schedule a little bit more, where you'd have maybe a few more days off in season just to make sure you can keep your guys healthy and fresh?
Yeah, I do. I thought, those bye weeks are invaluable. We had one really early where we probably didn't need it. After we won, we were 3-0 and had a bye week going into VCU. Our second bye couldn't have come at a better time. As you said, we've been beat up. We've been beat up since the beginning of the season. We've been without really, 4 of our guys, and that all happened by basically December 1st. So, the guys that are playing have had to log a lot of minutes. And certainly I think as much as there's physical fatigue, I thought there was a mental fatigue. As we got to the end of that stretch, we were able to give guys a couple of days away. And then maybe the biggest benefit of the bye week was to have, 4 straight days of practice. And you don't normally have that in the season. It was really good for our young guys. I thought our bench had a great week of practice. And then yesterday, season high 21 points. We got three true freshmen that are playing for us off the bench. Those guys had a great week. And then we're able to translate that into the game. Amari McCautry, Dylan Warlick, Max Picard. Thought those guys were outstanding yesterday. By far, their best performances of the season in terms of, a team win.
You've been at this for a while. You've coached in different places. But is it me, or is it the home court advantage certainly being challenged? Because we're seeing teams going on the road, going into some tough places, and not only giving the home team all they can handle, but sometimes walking out with a victory. Where do you think that's all changed? Because home court isn't what it used to be with regard to reliability.
Yeah, it has changed. I think it is not easier on the road, but you're seeing more teams do it. I've always thought that, whatever the sport, good teams can win anywhere. If you're good, as in terms of what you're doing, good teams can win anywhere. And, that I don't think has changed. But I do agree that you're seeing more teams, have success away from home. Could be a variety of things. I think, one of the things is certainly, I think, attendance. When you look at different places, student attendance in particular drives energy in the building, drives atmosphere in the building. You've seen a decline in that with all the different ways that people can watch games now. It's not the same. A lot of the younger people I'm going to stream it at home, or I'm going to, multitask. I'm not going to go to the game. And so, I may be reaching at it, but certainly I think that has something to do with it, where the atmospheres, what makes the home court advantage any sport to me is the other the team has to be really good players, make a home court advantage. And then it's the energy and enthusiasm of the atmosphere, that the environment that the fans create. And it's those two things together. And I think, maybe a little bit less of that with in the modern times in terms of, the energy and excitement in buildings.
I once had a coach that told me, you're in a good building when you can't hear yourself talk in your huddle, even if you're at home. And I'm wondering, yesterday you mentioned the atmosphere. What did you think made it so special yesterday? 8,000 on a Saturday with so many things going on in St. Louis. You had enough fans who decided they thought the Billikens is something they wanted to be part of, and they were rewarded. But for you, was there anything in particular that stood out?
I thought the building had, our community was, came out and really got behind us. We had a good amount of students. But not the amount that we had against, Dayton. Dayton was the home game with Dayton was one where I didn't think you could hear yourself in the huddles. That was one where we had, probably the best atmosphere. VCU was really good. Yesterday was really good, but yesterday the community drove a lot of that. But I thought like in the game where we were making runs, they get loud. They can really lift you. It doesn't matter. That, like I said, it's the energy in the building, the enthusiasm. I thought the community was terrific, and the students that made it out. Our band is unbelievable. They do a great job, but our community and the students that made it out, I thought created a good environment, created an atmosphere where they can infuse players with energy. That's a real thing. Where when the building's right and people are up and they're cheering and they're engaged, I do think that infuses the home team with some energy, gives them a little bit more pop. And as you get to the end of the season, the energy piece is a huge part of being successful. And I thought our fans did a great job yesterday of infusing our guys with that. And part of the reason I think we played so well.
The Atlantic 10 is not taking any prisoners this season. What do you look like down the stretch with regard to your schedule? And how are you health-wise? You had a chance to push your reset button, but you've had a couple of guys who've been hurt, as you mentioned, from day one, and Avila has been one of them with the ankle. And let's face it, you can put all the ice you want on an ankle. When it's hurt, it's hard to really get to 100% when you're still playing on a regular basis.
No question. Our in terms of the league, I think, the parity's just been amazing. We're in a three-way tie for fourth place with Dayton and St. Joe's. We have a stretch run here. We have 4 games left. We go to Davidson, leave today, but we play on Tuesday night in a big road game in a really tough place to play. Come back home and play Loyola Chicago, who is a game ahead of us in third place. We have them on Saturday, March 1st, and we go to Dayton, big road game, rivalry game at Dayton, and then we come back home for senior night, March 8th, to play against Duquesne. So we're at home the next 2 Saturdays. And so really tough stretch on the tough schedule on the stretch, but that's what this league is. I mean, it's every night. I don't think every team in the league's lost 2 games, and I think every team in the league's won 4 or 5 games. So there's it's the parity and top to bottom is what it is. In terms of the injuries, I mean, the 4 guys that we don't have, we're not going to have the rest of this season. It didn't affect anything there. What I do think it helped was, like you mentioned, Robbie Avila has been dealing with a knee injury. It helped Gibson Jimerson, who sprained his ankle at St. Joe's and is still playing on a swollen ankle. It helped Isaiah Swope, who's been dealing with, a knee injury, all season, had surgery after the season last year and is dealing with some inflammation. He really had rarely practiced. He got 3 or 4 days of practice going into this last game. So those 3 guys who were logging a lot of minutes and are our 3 best players, I think it maybe had the biggest benefit on those 3 guys and then the young kids just because they got 4 consecutive days of practice. And you could see those freshmen are starting to kind of turn the corner. And as they do, that changes the ceiling for our basketball team without question.
So, Coach, with you being shorthanded, have you relegated yourself to having the managers come out and practice, or the walk-ons? There was a time I remember at St. Louis University, they were so short they had the broadcasters practice with them one time. Only once. Because
I need to get Rammer and Earl. We could get those guys out. Earl give us a little low post presence, and Rammer run around off screen. So we might have to do that.
I think walking is what Rammer will do. I don't think there's going to be a lot of running. And if you give it to Earl, he's not going to pass it back. Okay, so I just want to give you a little scouting. He is the black hole, man. He will not give it back. So I just want to let you know, as you put your practice schedule together, understand they're going to contribute. They're going to give you all they have, but what they have, they're going to keep. So I'll just let it go with that.
No question. We are using everybody. GAs are practicing. My son, Isaac Holmes, Nick Patton, all the walk-ons. Because a lot of days, we have 9 scholarship players, and then Swope, is dealing with this thing, so he doesn't practice regularly. That's 8, and then some days different stuff. This week we had one day of 7. So you make do with what you have. You don't make any excuses. You figure it out. But we've had. The walk-ons are getting plenty of reps. Those guys probably get more reps. My son and Isaac Holmes, Nick Patton get more reps than any other players in the team. So I feel badly for them often, but they are hanging in there. They did. We brought in a sports massage person for our guys, and they did that for them. And the walk-ons were mad. They didn't get it because they're like, we practice, we play more than anybody. How come we're not? So my son lodged a complaint on behalf of the walk-ons that they didn't get a sports massage.
Well, we have to work on that because you'll have problems at home, and you don't want that. But at least they're sleeping well at night. I'm sure they're sleeping well at night, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Hey,
Keep
Coach,
out of trouble. Absolutely.
Exactly. You know where to find them. And that's a good thing as well. Coach, as always, it's great to visit with you. Can't wait to see you when the baseball season rolls around. Best of luck down the stretch, and let's just get in this thing and see what happens.
Let's do it. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in some Cardinals games and hopefully a bunch of wins here for us before we do that. But I can't wait to get out and watch some baseball with you.
Well, we'll be here. We'll see you soon. Thanks for your time.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. That is Coach Josh Schertz, brought to us by Royal Banks of Missouri. And, of course, we have the Stiefel Sports Studio. We moved it all down to Roger Dean Stadium. So it's a very nice, lavish setup. We have the Stiefel Sports Studio as we continue with sports on a Sunday morning, watching the Cardinals take batting practice. The Houston Astros provide the opposition this afternoon. I'll run down the lineup for you here in just a few moments. But in the meantime, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little hockey. A lot of hockey has taken place over the last couple of weeks, and we can get into that. And if you have a text of whatever, you can let us know about that. We'd love to talk to you as well. But we'll do all of that when we come back on Sports on a Sunday Morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio here in Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida on KMOX.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189 million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Maholtra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Barry. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. Dreaming of a brand new home, but don't want to wait? You are in luck. McKelvey Homes has dozens of brand new move-in ready homes with tremendous savings up to $70,748. In addition, you will also receive a closing credit of up to $10,000. We have a wide variety of luxury custom homes at prime locations, all with McKelvey's legendary quality and personal service. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio.
Off the drop, and David went forward, and nearly got a shot on. McCarr sends it around. Marner waiting. Connor McDavid scores! Connor McDavid for Canada!
Chris Cuthbert on the call for Hockey Night in Canada, and what a goal. What a goal and what a series between the United States and Team Canada. It had everything you wanted. And I know most people, well, a lot of people thought, hey, did you see the fights? Yeah, we saw the fights. And, you know, I tried to warn those who thought the same thing was going to happen again. They sat down and started playing hockey on Thursday night. And all the fighting, I mean, there was some pushing and shoving, but nothing to the point where a message needed to be sent. I'm of the belief if you have to send a message for a game of that magnitude, we probably have the wrong people. And when it was all said and done, it was great for the game. It gave them a lot of exposure. A lot of people got into it. And it was interesting that the one thing that everybody gravitated to was not the final game, but as I mentioned, everybody thought about the fighting. And this is a league that has tried to discourage that for a number of years. Well, basically ever since Gary Bettman's been commissioner. And at some point, you're going to have to accept that it is part of the game. It is one of the things that really creates interest in the game. Now, the problem is we don't have enough guys who know how to fight. So the ones who do, they're pretty good at it. But when you think about the big picture of if that's what it takes to get eyeballs and ears on your game, so be it. The best thing about it was we saw true talent emerge for the championship game. And that shouldn't be overlooked. I mean, the best player in the game scored the biggest goal in the game. You had players who were playing hurt. You had players who were just really committed. And that's what the game needed. That's what the game needed more than anything else on a national scale. Now, what do you do with it from here? Well, you're not going to do this Four Nations thing every year. You have to find something that'll be creative. The Olympics will be next year, so that'll take care of itself. But there's a lot of things to build on because there were so many good young players that were involved in this that will be looking forward to another opportunity. And let's hope it moves in the right direction. Speaking of moving in the right direction, the Blues were in action last night, and they were not very good early. I mean, it was hard for them to get shots on goal. They were kind of sleepwalking a little bit. First goal was a little sloppy. And lo and behold, they find themselves in this game late. Robert Thomas with a pair of goals. And, they had some other good situations. Joel Hofer was very good last night. But they ended up losing to the best team in the National Hockey League record-wise, and that's the Winnipeg Jets. And you say, wait a minute, Winnipeg? Yeah, I know. Nobody talks about them, but they have the most points. They're very good. And you know what? They've had the paperwork on the St. Louis Blues since the Stanley Cup finals, Stanley Cup playoffs, the year they eliminated Winnipeg. You know, they won 13 out of the last 16 games against the Blues since then. And so they kind of have had their number, but no shame in losing to a very good team like that. But I think when you look at the Blues overall, you say, man, there's work to be done. You know, that power play last night, you had a 4-minute power play, and you barely had anybody go toward the middle of the ice. They had like an umbrella where everybody was around the perimeter, but nobody wanted to get into the dirty areas and try and draw a penalty or look for a deflection or go to the net or obstruct the goaltender with his vision. You know, this team still has to find a way to be committed every shift, and that's not happening. And they've got to figure something out. And it's not the coaching, okay? You have some guys in this team, they're on their 4th coach. So let's take the coaching off the table, because we've done it virtually every way possible, from new, young, innovative guys to guys who have coached before, guys who are hard and tough coaches, to guys who've had experience in other markets and have had a nice career. So it's not coaching, it's commitment. And until they do that, then we're going to scratch our heads a little while longer. And we're going to scratch our heads to the point where we're going to just go all in on youth that's not here, because that's coming. It's coming. I mean, Doug Armstrong and his staff have amassed a stockpile of draft choices and prospects over the last few years, and they don't want to rush them, because I'm of the belief once you're here, you should be here to stay. But when you look at the productivity of people that you're counting on and the inconsistency, hey, maybe time to move it on. Trade deadline's not that far away. We'll see how things unfold there. And I'm sure everyone has some sort of trade proposal, and that's great. That's what talk radio is all about. I don't know what you can get, because one of the things about the NHL, you know, with the salary cap, and these teams spend up to the limit in a lot of cases. A lot of them don't have enough money to match up salary cap wise. So you're going to have to be very creative in how you do this if there are going to be some deals made. I know this is a team that has a future in a lot of different areas. They just need better leadership in some regards, in some areas, and maybe a little bit more accountability from a toughness standpoint. And if you have those things working for you on the surface, other things can happen, and all of a sudden you have a contagious culture that you feel good about. And I think that's where the Blues are now, trying to find that culture of getting people more engaged in what this organization, in the direction that they're going. Much like the Cardinals, transition taking place. They also have a president of hockey operations in waiting in Alexander Steen, much like the Cardinals have with Chaim Bloom. And let's face it, this is something we've never seen in St. Louis. It hasn't happened. I think you can name them on one hand, and you'd be lucky to say, I've seen this in other markets. It just doesn't happen. So it's new for all of us with how this thing is going to look next year and the year after, and what's the philosophy on what sort of players do you want. You know, both teams have always prided themselves on having quality character individuals, and I'm sure that that moniker will remain the same, but there are other things that have to come with that, and how they develop that, I just say stay tuned. It will be interesting, but the Blues don't have a lot of time to think about last night, because Colorado's rolling in this afternoon. And last check, the Avalanche are still a pretty good hockey team. They have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. And if you haven't seen Cale Makar skate, folks, pay attention to him if you have the opportunity. There's not a better, smoother skating defenseman than Cale Makar. You'd have to go back to Paul Coffey for a guy who's that smooth. And just don't take your eyes off of him when he comes over the boards. He's a really good player. And I'm thinking tonight Jordan Bennington will play, and I hope he gets the ovation that he truly deserves, he and Colton Parayko, for what they were able to do for Team Canada in the Four Nations tournament. All right, we're going to take our break. When we come back after the news, we will have a chance to visit with Lutz Pfannenstiel, talk about his ball club last night as they had a scoreless tie against Colorado. John Mozeliak will join us, and we will also visit with the Wizard, Ozzie Smith. All that coming your way from the Stiefel Sports Studio here in Jupiter, Florida, on the voice of the Cardinals and St. Louis University and St. Louis City, KMOX.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough to retire? Well, you can discover how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class. It's called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these classes at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, everything. And there's no cost. It's free. They ask that you bring 3 canned goods for a St. Louis crisis nursery. There are a handful of openings for classes this month and next. So register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number.
From fast breaks to buzzer beaters to block parties, there's nothing as exciting as basketball. And with football over, with Underdog, you can bring that basketball excitement to wherever you watch. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on players' stats, like threes made, points, rebounds, and much more. Get those selections right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. This is Tom Ackerman. Millions of fans have won over billions on Underdog. Will you be next? Join in on the fun by signing up for Underdog today using promo code TOM, and you'll get a free selection as part of your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's the Underdog app and promo code TOM. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189-million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KMOX KEZK HD2 St. Louis.
This is KMOX, the trusted voice of St. Louis. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Michael Toscano. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers have through tomorrow to explain what they accomplished over the last week. CBS's Bradley Blackburn tells us that order came from Elon Musk.
The email sets a deadline Monday for federal employees to list 5 bullet points detailing their work in the last week. In a post on X, the head of Doge, Elon Musk, said failing to respond would be taken as a resignation, and he echoed suggestions the request would be routine in the private sector. But a union representing government workers is promising to fight unlawful terminations and calling the demand, quote, cruel and disrespectful. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Some agencies are telling employees they don't have to comply, and a State Department official told workers there that the department will respond on their behalf. About 5,400 newer workers for the Defense Department will be cut starting this week. This after President Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth cleared out many of the military's top officers Friday night, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, former Army Chief of Staff George Casey, on ABC's This Week.
When you remove so many senior leaders, especially without justifying and giving due cause, it creates huge uncertainty in the ranks. And it isn't a good thing for the military at a very difficult time.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition with double pneumonia, but the Vatican says he did have a peaceful night. Archbishop of New York, Timothy Dolan.
He's taught us a lot about being realistic about your struggles, your health, your aches, your pains, and to keep going on. That grit and that resilience.
Voters in Germany today are deciding the future of the government there.
I'm Vicky Barker at the Foreign Desk in London.
AfD.
Germany's far-right anti-immigrant AfD party is expected to make big gains in today's elections. Elon Musk is a big fan, addressing the party's annual conference recently.
I think you are really the best hope for Germany.
But all of the other political parties have pledged not to form a coalition with the AfD, even if, as many polls predict, it comes in second in today's vote.
Residents in Virginia Beach, Virginia, are mourning the deaths of two police officers. Officers Cameron Gervin and Christopher Reese were fatally shot during a Friday night traffic stop.
I can tell you from seeing the faces of all the officers at the scene, the faces at the hospital, our EMS and our fire personnel, we're hurting. The department's hurting. The city's hurting.
That's Virginia Beach Police Chief Paul Newdigate. The shooter died from what police say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 11:03, sunny skies, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, there's a new temporary top prosecutor in Southern Illinois. We get more details from Cisco Cotto.
When a new president takes over, he almost always asks all U.S. attorneys around the country to step down. The chief judge of the Southern District of Illinois has confirmed the U.S. attorney for that area is gone. Rochelle Aud Crow is a former Democratic state senator. She resigned from that office when former President Biden nominated her to be the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Illinois. Allie Summers served as first assistant in the U.S. attorney's office. She's now acting U.S. attorney for now.
The Animal Protection Agency ends its management of the animal shelter in Olivet. It's being turned back over to St. Louis County.
The health department will oversee the facility. All the APA volunteers at Olivet do not know if they're being retained. On Thursday, Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham sent out a release saying applications for a pilot volunteer program are being accepted through Tuesday. APA CEO Sarah Javier says most shelters need volunteers.
We have hundreds who come in and they walk dogs, they provide enrichment to cats, they help with laundry, they do dishes.
Dr. Cunningham never explains exactly what a pilot volunteer program means. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Getting set for Game 2 of the Cardinals' spring training season. The pregame begins at 11:55. Matt Pauley tells us what happened yesterday.
The Cardinals played their first game of Grapefruit League play, losing to the Marlins 7-6. The Marlins score all 7 of their runs between the 7th and 8th innings after the Cardinals lead 6-0. St. Louis starts Eric Fetty, who throws 1 scoreless inning, pleasing manager Oliver Marmol.
He looked good, though. Mix was good. Man. Good to see him back out there.
Marmol is also happy with Matthew Liberator, who comes in and throws 2 scoreless innings after Fetty's done.
Velo was there. Cutter, slider, mix was there, mixing some change-ups, but overall was good. Fell behind one guy 3-0 and still came back and got the out, so like seeing that early on as well, but he did a really nice job.
The Cardinals play the Astros this afternoon with Miles Michaelis on the mound. First pitch is at 12:05. The game can be heard right here on KMOX. This spring training report is sponsored by St. Louis Composting, Growing Gardens and Making Memories, and by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door. In Jupiter, Florida at Cardinal Spring Training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
A nice afternoon for outdoor activities, 55 for the high. Not that cold compared to recent temperatures overnight, 37. Then we're getting into the 60s for the next 3 days. Also 63 tomorrow, 61 on Tuesday, 61 on Wednesday. Right now it is 46 in St. Peter's, the same in Flores at 42 downtown. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
From KMOX Sports.
A 2-2 pitch.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
And there's a high fly ball. That's hit the deep left field. It might go.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
And it's gone! A slammer for Nolan Arenado.
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Mike Claiborne here, and we are at the Stifel Sports Studio in Jupiter, Florida, where the Cardinals take on the Houston Astros here in about an hour or so. And we'll be here with Ricky Horton and John Rooney as the Redbirds go after game 2 of their spring training schedule. Came up a little short yesterday, as you heard Matt Pauley talking about. But as I mentioned earlier, the players that you expected to see or you think will contribute this year, they all did their jobs well yesterday, especially the pitching. The guys who you might want to see in 2027, well, they have some work to do. And it's early, so anything can happen. So we'll see how things unfold with Houston, who lost both games. They had a split squad yesterday. So the Cardinals have a lead in Houston Nationals right now. If, in fact, you know anything about spring training, you never put too much into guys are not able to go right. You get a lot of walks down there. You get them a lot earlier than you used to. So be careful in how you judge scores, especially the first 2 weeks of the spring training schedule. A lot of things going on yesterday. The Cardinals Blues last night overtime. St. Louis wins. The city plays to a scoreless tie. We'll visit the Blues here in just a bit. Missouri, they go down to Arkansas and do go well there. They come up short. And also Illinois just got the brakes beat off of them by Duke, who must be really, really good. Also won last night. They won 6 in a row. Wesley lost to Bonfire last night. I'm trying to cover everyone in the local front. So those are the basketball
You're on the
scores.
closed circuit feed for the St. Louis Cardinal Baseball Radio.
And I don't know if it's just me, but my head's starting to spin trying to figure out who's really good anymore. Because, you know, when in doubt, you would say, well, that's Kansas. That's Duke. You know, you always give them that credibility because of the name of the school, not the names on the back of the jerseys. I don't know if that really applies as much as it used to. And we were talking to Josh Schertz, you know, home court, you know, that's almost gone by the wayside. I mean, look at Missouri and the places that they've gone to this year.
There used to be
a top 5 team in Florida in their own backyard. We've seen some good teams come in and play St. Louis U. St. Louis U normally has a reasonably tough environment to play in. But there was some teams that come in and found a way to keep out a win. And I see it more and more around the country. Throw in the fact that unless you are really immersed into that program, do you really know who half these guys are? Because they change up so much with the NIL and going into the portal and the coaches move around. It is really hard to put an arm around a program if you're not with them at the start of practice. Because you look at guys now and you can hear the broadcasters when they describe an individual. He was playing here last year. You know, he wasn't here. And I don't know where that leads us. Obviously, the NIL and the portal have been maybe the most epic game changers in the history of college sports. And I don't know what you do from there, but something's got to change because you can't keep up this pace. You'll eliminate more programs in some schools and just say, you know what, we're good. And then somebody says, well, wait a minute. We don't know if we want to give this up because we have enough documentation that tells you that when you have a successful national program, it does wonders for your enrollment. If you don't think so, go ask them at Columbia, Missouri, when Missouri's basketball team and football team are playing well. And this year, it looks like both those teams, Missouri was already in a bowl game, and it looks like Missouri's basketball team is going to be in the tournament. What happens if Missouri's basketball team gets 2 rounds in? And it just always comes back to enrollment. You know, enrollment is what drives the bus. So with that said, you have to think about, okay, how can we maintain this standard? There's a lot of money being thrown into this. And the TV money does you well. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't have good booster support, now you have to have people who want to contribute to NIL. That's a whole nother set of issues with regard to who and how you're going to secure money for all these things. And then you get into the bidding war with the player because everybody else knows that he's a good player and they think they have something to offer also. I think the only way I can put it is it's a mess. And I don't know how it's going to be remedied in the near future. Although I will say this, before this is all said and done, I can promise you there will be some legitimate federal legislation trying to reel this thing back in, because every state has a different contract. There's no boilerplate. There's no what if. It's a mess, and it will take literally and perhaps an act of Congress to get this thing manageable. And the sad thing about it is the only people to blame are the NCAA. They had a chance to do something about this 20 years ago, and they just kept pillaging, doing things they knew were wrong. And somebody sued them. Another suit comes around, and all of a sudden they're on their heels. I mean, I don't think the NCAA winning in court. I think only the Washington Generals, who face the Harlem Globetrotters, have a worse record right now, and everybody knows it. So the NCAA really doesn't have the teeth that it used to. By the way, have you ever heard of a person being academically ineligible anymore? I mean, there's so many things that we don't even talk about with regard to how the NCAA used to do business that is almost comical, and you really ask yourself the question, what is your true purpose now? You know, what do you do well?
He was a prolific hitter in more ways than one.
I wonder if Elon Musk is going to, send them an email and ask them what did they do for the last couple of days. But it's something that we need to kind of look at, and I have to think some real frank conversations have to take place after this basketball season, because you can't keep this up. You cannot. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to switch up. We're going to talk some soccer. St. Louis City was in action last night. It was the home opener. I understand it was a little chilly at Energizer Stadium, but we're going to talk with their manager, Lutz Pfannenstiel. We're going to talk with him in just a bit about his ball club and just find out, is this season a little too long? We'll find out more when we come back here on KMOX.
A roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This month we are focusing on National Cancer Prevention Month. And joining us is Dr. Graham Kolditz, Associate Director at Siteman Cancer Center.
More than half of cancer is preventable by literally changing the way we live, whether it's how we eat, drink, exercise, have vaccines, have screenings.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189 million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here at Jupiter, Florida. I'm Mike Claiborne. Cardinals and Houston Astros getting together here in just about a half hour or so, but we're going to talk some soccer as St. Louis City SC was in action last night. It was the home opener, and their manager is Lutz Pfannenstiel. And Luke, it's always good to visit with you, sir. How are you this morning?
Mike, I'm all right. How are you?
Well, I'm a little warmer than you, but other than that, I have no other complaints. And I know you have to be happy about the fact that while you didn't get the win, shutting a team out from a shot perspective is something that you normally don't see.
Yeah, I mean, 18 shots for us, 2 for them. I think 5 of us, 6 on target and 0. So it was pretty clear when it comes to stats. It was that we dominated the game. We had more possession. We created decent chances. Let's say I was not 100% happy with the 100% chances we created, but we had a lot of half chances. Overall, it was a good start. I think we played a good game. But what matters is, in the end of the day, that you score, and creating chances is one thing, finishing them is another. And it would have been, of course, much better to start with a win. However, having a 0-0 against a team which qualified for the playoffs last year, I think it was a decent start, not more, not less, and now we need to focus on the next game.
I know that scoring was a shortcoming for your club last year, and you've been busy this offseason. What do you like about your offense this season as we start this year?
Yeah, when we changed basically everything offensively last summer, in the end of July, when we had lots of players came in, Marcel Hartl, Cedric Teuchert, Simon Becher, they all had an immediate impact. And of course, that's the players we are counting now on as well. Cedric Teuchert unfortunately couldn't start the game yesterday, just coming back from Germany, collecting his green card, which is great for us as a franchise. So I'm not really too worried about that. We won't be able to score goals. I think we have enough firing power up there with Klaus, Simon Becher, Hartl, Teuchert, plus Cillian Pompey, who's back from injuries. There is a lot of guys who can create, a lot of guys who are able to finish chances. But then again, to be fair, new coach, a bit of a different playing style, a bit of a not a different philosophy, but a bit of a different formation. So it takes a few weeks to really get that all understood and gelled. So we had a good preseason, Mike, and I think what we saw yesterday, so early in the season, was something we can build up on.
Lutz, when you put a team together, obviously you look at their skill set, but I'm sure when it comes to character and coachable players, that has to be a factor, especially when you have players that are coming from all over the world.
Yeah, that's for me one of the big things, Mike. That's something also with the ownership is very particular about. So when I started the job, I said I don't need a team where we have a lot of show ponies with bad characters who running up and down and think they're the best things in sliced bread. I want to have players who have character, who have mentality, who playing as a team players. And to have that one or two individual superstars never really makes a team. Football is a team sport. Football is a team where you have to work for each other. And I think it's very important that we have guys out there where they're not just good footballers, but they're also good human beings, good characters in the locker room. And that really brings you together much quicker than just focus on one or two top individual quality players who do not have a great character.
Lutz Pfannenstiel is our guest here on KMOX. Lutz, I want to, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I've never stood outside for a football match when it was 32 degrees. So I don't know about you, but what's the worst weather conditions you've ever been experienced in your professional soccer?
I mean, I played for a long time in Scandinavia, and trust me, yesterday was a sunny evening compared to Scandinavia in the winter. I also played in Calgary, and not when the Calgary Flames played indoors. We played outdoors at, I can tell you in Celsius, minus 27. I don't know how much is that in Fahrenheit, but definitely minus as well.
Cold?
I think
that's all we need to know. Just
cold. Very cold. And I think it was actually nice yesterday. I thought it was crispy. It was fresh. I don't think people were literally freezing to death. They all looked pretty awake after the game and during the game. I thought the way yesterday, if you looked at the pre-match ritual we had with the lights and everything, it was an amazing game opener, season opener, I think, for the fans as well. The only thing which we couldn't provide was a goal, and that I think was the only bad news yesterday. Everything was pretty good.
Yeah, you had a pretty good run with the exception of that for sure. One of the things about MLS is the schedule. I mean, as we're learning here in St. Louis, it's a long season. From where you sit, understanding how this works in St. Louis, if there was something you would do scheduling wise, with the league, what might it be? Would you shorten things? Would you try to have more home games at a certain time of the year? Would you try and play games in more warm weather cities earlier in the year? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's one very simple answer, Mike. We just have to switch from a normal calendar, which is January or February till December. We have to switch into a FIFA calendar, which means you start playing in July or August. You're playing through till December. You have a little break. Then you finish the season in the end of May, like all the European countries do. I think actually get that calendar adjusted to the European countries makes it also easier to do good transfers, to do bigger transfers on the European market in the best leagues in the world. I think that would give MLS another push in the right direction. But right now, it is what it is. We're playing from February till October, November. If you make the final till December, that's what was done with MLS all the way, and we just have to do what we have to do. As I said, we didn't freeze to death yesterday. Everything was okay, and we need to do what the schedule is right now. So that's fine, but obviously looking into a different calendar would be something to think about.
Lutz, what do you look like schedule-wise for your upcoming games?
Well, next week, a really big one. We're going to San Diego. So that's the new expansion team, the new kids on the block, a team which you do not know what you get. I mean, we watched them in preseason, but they are brand new. I remember that 2 years ago when we played our first game, the height we had down, it was still called City Park, was amazing. I think it is the biggest game for San Diego to open the account at home next week against us. And then we have another easy one coming up when we go into LA Galaxy, which are the current champions. So 2 trips to California, both very, very difficult. But again, let's be positive. Let's believe in what we have in our players and look forward to these next 2 challenges.
Now, in that situation, playing back-to-back weeks out in California, would you just stay out there or would you come back home and try and get some practice in?
No, St. Louis is such a beautiful city, down at our facility. I think that's where we want to work. So we fly out there, play our game, come back and get prepared again in St. Louis to fly out to LA. We stayed now in California for basically 2 weeks for our preseason before for 10 days in Florida. So I think we've been away for a long time now, especially the players away from the kids and from the families. So I think it's good for us to go back home between the games.
All right. Well, Lutz, as always, it's good to visit with you. I'll see you either at a game or at a Blues game or a Cardinal game. You are one of the great sportsmen.
I probably will see you at a Blues game again for sure.
There you go. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Lutz, as always, it's great to visit with you. Best of luck this season, and let's stay healthy and have some fun.
Thanks, my friend. Have a nice Sunday.
All right, you take care. Lutz Pfannenstiel is our guest. He is the sporting manager for St. Louis City SC. And when we come back, we'll have a chance to talk some baseball with the president of baseball operations. His name is John Mozeliak, as the Cardinals and the Houston Astros will come your way at the top of the hour. Game 2 of their exhibition season. And Miles Miklasz will get the ball. I'll run down the lineup for you real quick. It'll be Victor Scott leading off. He'll be in center field. Alec Burleson will be at first. Nolan Gorman will be at second base with Luken Baker, the designated hitter. Pedro Pajes is going to be behind the plate. Thomas Ajayce gets a start at third base with J.J. Weatherholt, the Cardinal first-round pick of 2024. He will get the start at shortstop. Matt Koperniak, who had a pretty good game yesterday, he will be in left field. Ricardo Vlade will be in right field, and Miles Miklasz will be on the mound for the Cardinals, and he will be assisted by a number of pitchers out of the Cardinal bullpen this afternoon. Let's hope the back end of the bullpen is a little bit better than they were yesterday, and we can stay. We don't have to be here all day, but you know what? It's baseball, and it happens. And this is a time of the year where when it does happen, you get it because the weather's good and you have a good environment and you're watching people develop as they get themselves ready to get to the big leagues someday. We'll take a break from the Stifel Sports Studio. It used to be Stifel Miklasz, and here on KMOX, as we are at Roger Dean Stadium, we call it sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
The Dave Glover Show.
Anytime you choose the DGS, you're choosing us over like 10,000 other things.
It's challenging, free thinking, topical, and fun.
But I think what's even more important is to stay real and to stay honest and relatable, because people go, I feel you. I understand.
The Dave Glover Show.
Real people having real conversations with each other.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on News Radio 1120 KMOX.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Once again from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here's Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Everyone. Hello. One of these things is working. All right, can you hear? I can hear myself, I think. Welcome back, everybody. We continue here. Well, let's put this in. Give me a second, folks. You know, live radio can be a treat from time to time. Anyway, welcome back. We're here at Roger Dean Stadium. The Stifel Sports Studio is where you'll find us here at Roger Dean. Cardinals and the Houston Astros will be set to do battle here in just a bit. And for the Redbirds, pretty interesting lineup. And we talked to Ollie yesterday about how he's going to try and stagger the lineup. The Cardinals have a home game tomorrow, and then they're on the road for 2. They go over to Dunedin to take on the Blue Jays of Toronto, and then they'll have the New York Yankees before they come back on Thursday. So they're trying to make sure guys get enough opportunities to get some at-bats, see some real pitching. So they'll flip-flop. They'll send 2 different teams over there on each day. And they'll make that drive across Alligator Alley and go over there and do some business. And on the other hand, they'll have some guys that'll stay back and work on some things. You know, there was a time when you would have these games, you had to take X amount of professionals, guys with big league experience. They've kind of relaxed that rule. So sometimes when you have teams that come from the other side of the state, there's a lot of guys you don't recognize. And that sometimes is a little bit of an unfortunate situation, especially for fans who come down and they want to see big leaguers play. That's not always the case when you travel across the state. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in the meantime, we welcome to KMOX the president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. Mo, thank you for joining us. Camp is underway. I know it's early. Give me your thoughts from how things started to where we are now.
Well, I think the good news is right now everybody appears healthy from that standpoint, getting in their work, which is always good this time of year. Obviously yesterday's game, I think not a lot to take away from it other than both sides could use to throw more strikes. Obviously, when you're looking at the pitchers that we needed to perform well did, and then some of the younger guys kind of sprayed the zone a little bit. But, ultimately, it's fun that we've sort of changed our pace now from just the workouts to now actual baseball games. So that part's exciting. And now it's really about just getting into that routine and making sure that everyone feels good about where they are. And, ultimately we got to see what we look like as a club, who's performing well, because there are going to be some tough decisions at some point. And, whether it's, roster decisions or whether it's playing time decisions, but all those things we have the next 3 to 4 weeks to work through.
There is competition at a few positions on your team. What position do you think the toughest decisions will have to be made?
Well, I think, right now, what's our outfield going to look like when we break camp? Obviously there's two schools of thought here. Do we go with a more offensive outfield, or do we go with more of a defensive outfield? And so those decisions, I think, will be made as we get closer to opening day, but that's something to watch for. And then in terms of how we balance out Contreras' usage at first base versus DH, that'll be something that we have to work through. And some of these answers may come as we, evolve into the season, but as you look at this camp, that's certainly something of note. And then, of course, roles in the bullpen. Obviously, Helsley has you can call him our closer, but then in terms of like how we set up 6, 7, 8 is still TBD. So that'll be fun to watch.
When you think about your pitching, a good team, with injuries and maybe other issues that come along the way, you realistically need somewhere between 18 and 19 pitchers that are going to be able to pitch for you during the course of the season. So what you see now that doesn't make the roster, there's a pretty good chance you're going to see that pitcher somewhere down the road.
Oh, I think that's for sure. Ultimately, I think the key too is like we have some younger pitchers competing for jobs here, and the question might be like, how do we think about their role versus pitching in a starting role, for example, at Memphis? And that's just some of the things that, when you think about decision making, that'll have to be something we think through. Ultimately, you're trying to do two things. One is you're trying to give yourself a good chance out of the gate with your club, but you're also trying to wear that hat of the long view of making sure the players that you're using or not using are developing, because Cardinals are definitely wanting to get themselves back into winning ways on a consistent level. And that's not just about 2025, but it's also about future years. And so that'll be something that we think through as we try to have the right answers moving forward.
I had a conversation with Bernie Miklasz earlier with regard to how this organization looks. And while people who have not seen spring training and they say, well, the Cardinals aren't spending any money, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, I'm seeing an investment in some other areas with regard to resources and certainly development, whether it's coaches, equipment, things of that nature. How many new faces do we have in spring training compared to years past?
Boy, I don't know that answer offhand, but total new faces to baseball operations, I think is right around 19 or 20. In other words, there are some people that'll end up joining this camp when minor league camp opens. So not everybody's here yet, but I think as we get into late February, early March, there'll be a few more faces added to this. But, look, we are looking at the infrastructure of our operation where we can, really squeeze more on the margins, whether it's trying to get pitchers to do more with what they have or add a pitch. There's a lot of internal discussions on just how do we make players better? And, there are systematic ways to do that. And I think, this group that we've brought in is very strategic in that. It's not to say we weren't trying to do that before, but we can be much more intentional because we have a lot more people to help in that.
We saw the ABS implemented yesterday on a big league level. Were you in the pool that had Newbar being the first guy to do it, to challenge it?
I wasn't in any pool, but that feels right.
But if you were in a pool,
if you think about a guy that worked 3-2 counts is probably about as well as anybody in baseball. That he knows his strike zone. So I like it. I know it's not going to be implemented in 2025, but I hope fans find it as compelling as I do, and I think it's something that you watch AAA baseball and it doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. It's nice to get it accurate. And there are key situations where it is very impactful if you can take a ball to a strike or a strike to a ball.
If only Matt Carpenter were around.
Right?
Could you imagine
he another guy?
Yeah, exactly. Those two together. It was very painless and seamless yesterday. And that was the one thing I was concerned about. How long would this take? And you know what? We had guys that had a harder time throwing strikes than we were able to determine what a strike was. And if that's the direction that it's going to go, I don't think people will have a big problem with it.
I agree. One thing they could do differently here is don't sound that alarm. That was a little loud.
It was startling. That's what it was.
They need to clean that up.
Exactly. I would wholeheartedly agree with you. All right, Mo. Well, listen, we have another game today. Final question for you. When you watch a spring training and watch your ball club, do you break it down in segments with regard to evaluation? Because what we see on the first day is not what it's going to look like the last day. And how do you measure someone's ascension or decline?
Yeah, so typically when I'm watching a game, I do have access to a lot of the TrackMan data that's being collected that day. That's instant. And so you have a sense of where people are from arm strength standpoint, velocity standpoint, spin standpoint. So that's always intriguing. But I'm also focusing more on more of the second half of the game with more interest on trying to get to know some of these younger players that I'm not as familiar with as say today's starter, Miles Miklasz. And so I really do try to take advantage of the access we get to those younger players. And as you know, from time to time, you'll see me on the backfield, even when major league games going on in spring training, just because it's so convenient. It's, you don't have to travel for it. And so certainly want to take advantage of our location and really maximize our time that way.
Well, Mo, as always, it's great to visit with you. We thank you for your time, and let's have a nice, quick, clean game today, and we'll figure out tomorrow when it gets here.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, sir. Take care. That's John Mozeliak. When we come back, the Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith, is coming your way. You don't want to miss that right here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. We are here in the Stifel Sports Studio here at Roger Dean Stadium. And, of course, you're listening to all of this great programming on your voice for the Cardinals, Blues, and City, KMOX.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In the 70s, while still putting up Hall of Fame numbers, local baseball legend Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly, Heating and Air Conditioning.
And our area's never been the same. This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
So from now on, when you need an electrical solution or fix at your home, get it done fast, good, by a Hall of Fame company that's got it going on.
JerryKelly.com. Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
Continue with sports on Sunday morning from Jupiter, Florida, here at Roger Dean Stadium, where the Cardinals will take on the Houston Astros in their second game of their spring training schedule. I'm Mike Claiborne, and speaking of baseball, we're going to have an interview. We had a chance to visit with the Hall of Famer. Anytime you can catch up with Ozzie Smith, you always feel like you're a little smarter after the conversation is over, and this was no different as we had a chance to visit with the Wizard. How many spring trainings have you been to?
Man, I don't know, Mike. I lost count a long time ago, and I missed some there for about a 10-year span. But I was able to get back, and it's always nice to be able to come out here, and especially coming off of winter where it might be cold and snowy or rainy, and it's Florida sunshine. It's always nice.
It is humbling to be here, knowing what it can be like in other parts of the country, and just the fact that everybody gets together. They've seen each other for the first time in a long time, and they're talking ball, having fun. And we have such a new crop of young players, although they've been in the big leagues, but they still want to learn the game. And I see when you hold court with these guys, they are paying full attention, and that's got to make you feel good.
Oh, it does. And, it's always nice to be able to share knowledge and stuff with the guys. And, you got some young guys around here like the Sagaces and the Wins and stuff. And it's nice watching them develop as players, and not only as players, but as people as well, So coming down here and being able to spend some time with them, and, of course, watching some veterans, too. I enjoy watching Arenado play. He's going through some things here with the organization, but he's always been a fun player to watch. And I think that situations like this for players like him, the one thing that we can control as players is how we play.
Yeah. And the fact is, he's a pro. He's a pro. And he understands that, when it's all said and done, you still have to come out here and play baseball.
That's right. Exactly. And control what you can control, and all those other things will work themselves out.
For you, coming to spring training, how important was it for you as a player, and then as a retiree, how important was that to be part of an organization that has you in, and the fact that these young players look to you? You were looking to older players when you were playing the game. How important is it, though?
It's important. The transition from a regular everyday player to becoming, one of those people that people look up to should have been a natural transition, which it wasn't for me. And, I had that gap in between there. But, it's really been nice being able to get back and do what you love to do, and I love, I love the game. The game has always been a part of my life.
It is your life. That part, it is.
You eat it, you sleep it, you breathe it and stuff. And it's nice to be able to share that with people, because you never get away from it. You take some time off, but you never get away from it. And so I'm just trying to enjoy the time that I have down here. And as I said, watching these guys develop as players, and, just share as much as you possibly can with them, and hopefully something that you say clicks with them, and allows them to be able to go out and do what it is that they're doing.
You've always had a keen eye in recognizing young players. This year, who do you like? Who do you keep an eye on a little closer that you've had a chance to see? And who are some of the guys you've seen that have grown into being a big leaguer?
Brendan Donovan has really been a pleasant guy to watch. Alec Bertelson, I think, has done. When you look at Alec, you don't think, well,
he doesn't have the baseball look.
Well, it doesn't have that look, but I tell you what, he's been very impressive with how he's been able to play the outfield. And I had a chance to visit with him the other day, and he came up as an infielder.
He's a pitcher too.
Yeah, so he's a good athlete. It's much like
we're talking about Alec Burleson, who's
right
just
there. Yeah, like Big Daddy. You remember Big Daddy? He was. Big Daddy, but Big Daddy was one of those people that didn't have an athletic body, but Rick Rusher. Yes. But he was very athletic. It was one of those guys that was tough to bunt on. He had good feet, was quick, and just very athletic. And he reminds me a lot of that. When you look at him and the way he goes about it every day, you know what you're going to get. He gives you all he has every time out, and that's all you can ask for.
Give me a guy that you're going to keep an eye on this year.
Well, the one guy that we talked about earlier, Sagasi, I think has a chance to be a good big league ball player. He's a guy that asks a lot of questions. He asks a lot of the right questions. Mm-hmm. You can ask questions, but you got to ask a lot of the right ones. And the one thing that you always look for from a young player, well, any player really, is his work ethic. And if a player that has talent, has good work ethic, it'll work out.
Well, I'm standing next to one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. And, hopefully that's contagious as well, because when one guy sees you doing it, then they might want to do it. And that's something that if we have enough of those guys walking around, you never have to police yourself.
That's right. And it makes it easy on the managers too. Mm-hmm. When your best player is your hardest worker, and they got some guys around here. The other thing, too, before we go here, Mike, is Contreras is moving to first base. And I watched him take some ground balls over there. He looks like a natural. He looks like he's more comfortable playing over there. And, of course, time will tell. But from my observation right here, right now, I think he's going to do well over there.
So you're not going to lose sleep overnight thinking about whether he can play or not?
No. I think that, watching him take ground balls, he's got pretty good feet for a big guy. And, he came in a little bigger. He got
a little?
We got
to find a rubber suit. Yeah. I don't know if they have any of those left.
But no, I think he's going to be all right over there. And I think now that he doesn't have to worry about calling pitches and stuff, it's going to ease his mind a little bit, and it'll be fun to watch his development.
I'm anxious to see how he looks at the game from that position, as far as how pitches are called and what he would do in that situation and how he positions himself. I think it's going to be a fun experiment that's going to turn out okay.
Yeah, I think we talk about it as an experiment, but I don't think it's that big of an experiment. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to have him go over there and perform. One of the things that I look at from a player's perspective is how's his feet. And he's got good feet, and it's your feet that put you in a position to be able to make a play. So I think he's going to be okay.
Man, it's great to have you here. Make this a lifelong tradition, just hanging out here, man. It's always great to have the Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith. There you have it, Ozzie Smith. They don't make him any better, folks. And the way he is received down here, not only by the fans, but certainly the players who truly have come to appreciate him. And his kindness is something that shouldn't go unnoticed. And so we thank Ozzie for visiting with us and certainly continuing to be the great Cardinal that he is. Speaking of Cardinals, here come the Cardinals in just a bit. It'll be the Redbirds, Houston Astros, Ricky and John with the call. And we will talk to you later in the week.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, covering Cardinals spring training as the Redbirds get ready for a new season. Hear my reports mornings and afternoons, as well as evenings on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line.
Get everything you need to know about what's happening at Redbirds Camp with the Cardinals Spring Training Reports. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting, Wilkie Window and Door, and Norm's Bargain Barn. On your home of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing. I don't have any cravings. You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have
absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works, period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Early bird special, only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to